Hey dear Tyler, good evening. And how are we doing? I hope we're good and I hope we're fine. Final day of the month of August, and yeah, better late than never. Want to thank you guys for following dear Tyler thus far. It's been an amazing journey. And don't worry, I know that this introduction somehow looks like I'm about to stop dear Tyler, but I won't. I think I've had a habit of having very, very dramatic days, and oh, it's been a lot. It's been a lot for me. So I work has been a lot. I've had to be in numerous meetings, go for handle numerous projects. I think as of now maybe like four. I'm handling about four projects, which is pretty overwhelming. And sometime last week my car broke down. Or is it a week before? Like 2 weeks now that my car broke down, and it's just been a lot. It's just been a lot. I honestly felt very, very drained, emotionally drained. I just couldn't, talk about a lot of things. It just seemed like so much was going wrong. And yeah, today was no different. I had a very, very, I had a very, very off day. Very, very off day. Some my fault, some things I can't control. But I've had a very, very off day. And I think within the past 2 weeks, I've had just a whole lot of, issues. Just had misunderstanding with friends. That has really weighed me down. I know that I can be a very complex person many times, but yeah, it's just been a lot. It's just been a lot, and sometimes it's just nice to know that you're still there. And I want to thank everyone that has been around, been supportive in this period. In fact, in as much as I would want to complain about how much was spent on the car and everything, I will not deny, I will not be silent about the blessings that God brought my way, right? After I'd spent a considerable amount of money on the car and it wasn't fixed, someone just came over, literally took the car and went and repaired it with his own money, and it's just humbling, and I'm really, really grateful. I'm not going to mention his name because he wouldn't want that and all, but I'm so grateful to him, and I just want to say thank you. Thank you so much, everyone that's been reaching out within this period. It's really tough. And right now I'm like fighting tears, but God will get me through. More than ever. Benga would receive wisdom. Benga would receive sense to do things properly. Right, I just needed to get that out of the way. Part of the things that I wanted to do with Dear Tyler to also be my own diary session where I could, be open enough to people and tell people, oh, Benga messed up, I did this, but yeah. Maybe I'll value my friendships a little bit more and be more open. God will help me through that season. But thank you to everyone that has reached out and that has helped. I do have an appeal for everyone that listens to Dear Tyler. Please pray for me. I think sometime last week I almost broke down. So please pray for me. So today's episode, I would do my best to make it as brief as possible. It's titled, Ask the Right Questions. And the whole concept of this particular episode, right, it came from my ordeal of last week. Last 2 weeks. So last 2 weeks I was on my way to work. And, I was meant to have a presentation that day and also have a meeting that day. So I woke up early, and I was on my way to work, and as I just got, maybe like 5-10 minutes away from home, my car just kind of like knocked, and then I now started it again. It picked up. So I was on my way to buy fuel. And as I just got to the filling station, I just took the bend and everything, and the car just stopped. Later on, I now started noticing like steam coming out of the bonnet and all. And, just to open it and see that the car was overheating. And I had, put in water the previous day, and there was no reason for it to be overheating. So luckily for me, I was able to, park the car into the, the filling station, get the car into the filling station and all. And then there were some mechanics that came, they checked the car, they now noticed that my radiator was leaking and the tubes had broken. Quite a lot of things had gone wrong. And at that time, all I had on me was the money that I was going to get fuel with. And, I started panicking, because I needed to get to work and I couldn't leave the car there. It was just a lot. And, I was just asking myself, Obinga, what do I do? Who do I call? Who do I speak to? And to be very honest, God has been really gracious to me. Within this period that I've been trying to stabilize and do a lot of things, my siblings have come through for me. A lot of friends have come through for me. And, there's a way that you would feel when you're always seeming to ask for help, right? It's just totally, it could be absolutely devastating, right? That you're always asking for help, and I couldn't just get myself to do that. And I started, thinking, what am I going to do? Who am I going to call? Who am I going to reach out to? And I started just making calls, random calls and everything. And every call that I made at that time, it wasn't, the people were not able to come through for me at that time. And I just sat down at the filling station and I was just overwhelmed. And tears, just came out from my eyes. I didn't know when that happened. I just felt extremely overwhelmed because quite a lot of things. And maybe I'll make it into an episode. I'm really trying to figure out life. I won't say figure out life, I'm really trying to stabilize in life, let things work, at least let there be a similitude of things working, let things be fine. It's just overwhelming, honestly, Tyler. So I just, sat down there and I just absolutely overwhelmed. And then all I could just utter out is like, Lord, help me, what should I do? Like, what should I do? And then all of a sudden it popped into my heart. So I changed the question. And I changed the question and I was like, Lord, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? And all of a sudden he was like, okay, call this person and call this person. And in calling them, I was able to come out of that particular challenge. Though the next period, by Saturday again, the car had broken down, and I just left the car and I didn't want to bother myself with it again. But at the time when I asked the Lord, what do you want me to do? Right? It's like a whole realm of possibilities just opened. And I'm reminded of the story in John chapter 2, the wedding at Cana, right? So Jesus and his mother are invited for a wedding. And the wine finishes, right? The wine finishes. And I think either the host or the chairman or the servants found out that, Jesus' mother found out that the wine had finished, and the servants, I'm sure, were in a panic mode. And she meets the servants and says, whatever he tells you to do, do. Right? Now, I imagine, and I'm putting myself in the shoes of the servants. Imagine you're hosting somebody's wedding, and then you've made your plans, you've done everything that you should have done, and somehow it does not meet up to standard. Now the thing about being a servant is that ultimately in some way you could be blamed, because it'll be like, oh, you were reckless in giving out the wine, you should have been a lot more frugal, in all of that. You made some mistakes, maybe some wine spilled along the way, maybe the crowd was too much, but somehow the blame could always be pushed to the servants. So I could imagine how they were, wondering, oh, where could we go and get, wine from now. And, you know, the processes of making wine then is not like now that they bottle it and they keep. You know, wine had to be prepared a long time before the event. You know, so everything was factored into the wine preparation. So getting wine at that time probably would have been a little bit difficult. So I'm sure their minds would have just been all over the place, right? Thinking of what they could do, right, to be able to serve their guests and all. But Mary meets the servant and says, you know, tells Jesus, okay, the wine has finished. Jesus is like, what's my business on it? Like, my time has not come. But she meets the servant and says, whatever he tells you to do, do. And I think that that's a very big question. I mean, that's a very big statement, rather, because it's not about what I want to do. There's this song that we sing, we used to sing a lot, and maybe I should revive singing it. You know, I Give Myself Away by William McDowell. It says, my life is not my own, to you I belong. I give myself away. The fact that we understand, or our ability to understand that we are incapable of doing things on our own, is usually the first step to actually receiving God's help. Because while I was in that, you know, filling station, I was doing every permutation that I could in my head, everything that I felt I could do, you know, people that I could call, whatever it is, you know, I had done all the calculations and it overwhelmed me, and I came up with no answers. But the moment that I reached out to the Father and I said, okay, Lord, what do you want me to do? What should I do in this situation? What steps should I take in this situation? And all of a sudden, he brings up, you know, my solution. At that time, there's a portion of scripture, it says that you will hear a voice behind you saying, this is the way, walk ye in it. That when you find yourself, Jesus telling, you know, the disciples that you will be brought, you know, before magistrates, you'll be brought before judges, and don't be bothered about what you have to say. In that situation, the Spirit of the Lord will give you what to say. And I feel that there are many things, right, that we're going through as individuals, Tyler, and the question in our mind is, oh, what should I do? What should I do? Or what are the things I could do? You're trying to put all the permutations and combinations for strategies. And, you know, sometimes it works, but there are many times that it would, you know, just put up a whole lot of stress on you. And sometimes you just need to cry out and say, Lord, what do you want from me in this situation? What do you want from me in this situation? What do you want me to do? What is your own opinion about the situation? What step should I take? And reminiscing on this whole thought, I can see a backlog in my life because I refuse to ask this particular question. Lord, what do you want from me? Understanding that I'm not just a steward of God's resources, I'm not just a steward of God's giftings in my life, my abilities, my strengths. I'm not just a steward of leadership positions that the Lord has given me. I'm also a steward of this life that I so hold dear to me, still does not belong to me, and I do not understand the reins of navigating this life. And every time that I've decided to take control of it, I've always messed up. I've always found myself in difficult situations that could break you, you know, just make you feel totally worthless. That's a big statement, but sometimes that's exactly how I do feel. This is a very honest diary session, I could say. Lord, what do you want me to do? What do you want from me in this situation? What is your way out? What is your way out, Father? What is your way out? I have tried on my own, I have done things on my own, and I have messed up many times. So what is your own way out? When the children of Israel, you know, were at the Red Sea, they could have thought about building boats, thought about swimming, but God had his own method of delivering them. I'm sure they had one or two architects there, they had one or two, you know, engineers, people that could also do a quick masterclass in swimming, but ultimately it would have made no sense. It would have been absolutely fruitless if they had not asked the Lord what to do. They encountered the same problem when they were going to cross Jordan. They could have said, oh, let's do it the same way Moses did. But God had his way. God had his way. God had his way. And I just want this episode to encourage you. I know that it sounds really uncoordinated, right? But I think it's a sincere episode, not calculated. I'm just speaking directly from my heart. And this is the heart of somebody that is really, really, coveting your prayers. That God will help me navigate this season and break through it once and for all. And that this is a heart that is really, really broken by the things that have happened. So my apologies that it doesn't sound very coordinated, but maybe we're just asking the wrong questions. What should I do? Are you asking yourself, or are you asking the Father, what should we do? What do you want me to do? David had the ability and the military might. He had the experience to be able to, win wars. He had won wars. I'm not sure that he had ever lost a battle in his life. And it got to a time he asked the Lord, should I pursue? And the Lord said, pursue and overtake. He didn't just wake up in his own strength like Samson and say, I will arise as I usually do. Lord, what are you saying in the moment? What is the way forward? What is the way forward? Now, I imagine if I, within that period, still reached out to people for resources to fix the car. I remember after the Saturday that the car broke down, I just heard we just leave the car. And because this my friend, came over to the house and saw the car there, was like, why is this car parked here? And that the car had broken down. I was like, oh no, that they need to get it fixed at all. Now imagine if I had, incurred more, maybe debts and all of that, trying to get resources from all over, and the car had moved out of the house, the mechanic had taken it. This person would not have been able to come, or this person would have come and would not have seen the car and be able to do anything about it, right? And I would have missed out on the opportunity to see the favor of God at work in my life, right? So it's very important, Tyler, that we ask the right questions. At every time, what should I do, Lord? And you always direct the question to the right person. I apologize for how this is sounding and all, but I really just hope that we understand. The moment the servants followed the principles or the instructions of Jesus, they saw the results. Every time the disciples met Jesus and, what should we do? The people are hungry. Or what should we do? The tax collectors are coming, right? It's all about receiving the instruction of the Lord and moving with that instruction. Every instruction of the Lord is backed up by his power. Why not rest on the laurels of the Lord's faithfulness and his testimonies rather than your experience and your experience based on your ability to feel and, the instability of your own life rather. Why not just depend on him? So I really hope this episode blessed you. And in as much as you share this episode with people, please pray for me. I need prayers. I need help from God in such a big way, but please pray for me. And always remember that I love you, I believe in you, and I'm always rooting for you, Tyler. Bye.